Mr. President, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to be here to be able to share a plan for action along with my fellow panelists. The world is divided in two, an area that we know well that has laws and regulations, and an entire 45% of the planet that has basically no rules. It is effectively like the Wild West, a place that has some rules, conflicting rules, and no rules. What is important about the ocean? Why are we even here? Why do we care? Let's look at some of the tangible things that it does for us. It feeds 16% of the global population. And I know there are a lot of people from shipping here, so you know that 90% of the global shipping trade moves by ship. Let's look at some of the intangible things it does for us. Without the ocean, our days would be boiling hot and our nights would be freezing. The ocean regulates our climate. It's vital. Without it, it creates 98% of our rainfall, and over 50% of the oxygen we breathe comes from the ocean. But we're careless with this absolutely vital and renewable resource. We use and discard 1 trillion plastic bags a year into the ocean. We have created 5 gigantic gyres of plastic and garbage that swirl in the open ocean. It's a disaster. We also fish indiscriminately. We're so clever, we're such a brilliant species, we've actually outdone ourselves in the fishing department. We've got boats that now can hoover up vast shoals of fish. This is the largest fishing net. It fits 12 Boeing 747s in its mouth. I can't imagine there's one person here that thinks that that is a sustainable way to fish. This tuna was sold earlier this year for $1.7 million. I think that we can all agree that if there was lots of tuna out there and that it was a sustainable species, that we wouldn't be paying such vast prices for that delicacy. That is an indication that the species is in trouble. And in fact, I think it's down to some historic levels below 93% of stock. We don't know very much about the ocean, actually, it turns out. Less than about 1% of it has been explored. And we don't really know all the impacts that we're having. And wherever you stand on the climate debate, the issue isn't there. The signs are not encouraging, as we know. So why do we need these apex species, the tuna, the whales, the swordfish? It's because my good friend Enrique Sala, who's done tremendous amounts of work on what the last remaining pristine reefs look like, he can definitively tell you that when you have healthy species of population, large apex predators, very healthy large corals, the ocean is resilient to some of the things that we are doing to it. So however you feel about the creatures in the ocean, the more of them that we have, the better, the healthier, and the more resilient is our ocean. But we are excited about the possibilities of exploiting what we have. This picture might be what the future of mining looks like. But many of you here who are involved in mining, you know that mining on land is an inherently messy and difficult business. Please, for a moment, imagine what it must be like to drill and to mine at the bottom of the ocean. Again, because of its value to us, imagine if you didn't have the oxygen that you needed to breathe or the food that feeds 16% of the global population. What would you do if the rain doesn't fall? What would happen if the monsoon shifts? The ocean is integral, essential, and absolutely vital for all of these things, and therefore requires each and every one of us in this room to be careful about what we do, to think, and think before we act. This is a photograph of 10,000 walruses. They are what I call climate refugees. They normally hide under the ice, but there's no ice where they are to hide, so they're all clumped onto this little glob of the speck of land. this is just one of the results of the work that we've been so good at doing, taking out all the fish and CO2 in the atmosphere. So let's talk about a solution, because, God, we can't talk about the problems forever. The Millennium Development Goals, the guiding principle of the United Nations that were set in the year 2000, are expiring, and they are going to be replaced by the Sustainable Development Goals. Bill Gates described the Millennium Development Goals as a phenomenal thing just last week at the Clinton Global Initiative, where I stood up and made an announcement that we are trying to get the ocean to become part of the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, whatever you think about the United Nations, a Sustainable Development Goal would have an absolutely electrifying effect for all of us in this room. The Millennium Development Goals were highly effective in global poverty, HIV, and malaria, and I believe that an ocean sustainable development goal would have a similar and brilliant effect, fostering unprecedented global cooperation between the public and private sector. It would unleash billions of dollars towards some of the problems that we have, and money is definitely part of the root of the problem that we are facing within the ocean. And not only that, but it would be able to support some of the most brilliant initiatives, many of you who are here have these great ideas but need funding, you need firepower, and you need government structure. The Sustainable Development Goals are being voted on in September 2014, and currently they are not part of the United Nations agenda. So I made a commitment at the Clinton Global Initiative in partnership with Ambassador Beck, who is the first appointed United Nations ambassador to the oceans and the sea, Amir Dosal from the Global Forum Partnership, and an academic, to say that we are going to work towards getting a sustainable ocean development goal. But I would like to ask all of you a question right now. Who loves the ocean in this room? Can you please raise your hands if you do? Okay, this is a very good sign. Makes the job a lot easier when you love what you want to protect. So the Sustainable Development Goal has 4 prongs. Ambassador Beck, who's working the United Nations ambassadors. Amir Dosal, who is working the partnerships between foundations and public and private sector. Michael Dorsey, who's looking at the academics and the math behind this, because I believe it's absolutely essential that economic values, you need to have economic values. There's no question we need to eat and make money and do these things, but I believe we can and have a sustainable ocean and a sustainable Arctic and make money. And so the job of the TerraMar project is to create a global ocean community. So we created a pledge, and it's called the I Love the Ocean Pledge. It's relatively easy to sign. You go in, you say, I love the ocean. I will spread my love of the ocean with my family and friends. And I would like the ocean to be managed sustainably. I encourage you all to go to the website, do that, and then it so happens you then get a passport that makes you a joint citizen of land and sea, and you become, you get a TerraMar passport. TerraMar also has, is a online platform that seeks to both educate, to give information to everybody, because you need to know what's going on. If you want to make informed decisions, you need to know what's happening, but you need to be able to make those decisions on your own. And this way you have all the internet at your fingertips to figure it out for best practices. So with that, I just say thank you. It was an opportunity and a pleasure to be here.